Did I go off grid? Why on earth am I using oil lamps? Stay tuned to find out how I use oil lamps as part of frugal living. Well, welcome to today's edition of Frugal Friday from the Wellness Homesteader. So I'm sitting outside on my back deck, hoping and praying the sun does not come around and start shining on me in the middle because it's kind of hot and sticky today. We are forecast to have some rain this evening, and I certainly hope we do. We definitely need it. It's been a very hot summer here in Ohio, lots of upper 80s, low 90s, lots of work for the air conditioner, so I'm always looking for ways to save on my electric bill. So one of the things that I did is I went to the website of my local electric supplier, and I see that we're wobbling, and I'm sorry, guys. Crappy, there we go, maybe it won't wobble so much. Bad tripod. But I went out onto the website of the local electric company, and I looked at their electric saving tips, and it was helpful in some ways, but it was basically things that, you kind of already knew. Turning your air conditioner up a degree saves you X kilowatt hours, and it was kind of like mumbo jumbo to me. So I actually found a few YouTube videos on how to understand what is pulling electric from your house. So what I learned was anything with a remote control does what they call phantom electricity. It takes electricity because it has to be ready at any moment to turn on when you push that button. So one of the worst offenders was a cable box. I don't have cable, so that was not anything that would help me, but I do have other things that have a remote control that I unplug when it's not in use, and it has helped me save significantly on my electric bill. I noticed this morning, and are you noticing it? The days are definitely getting shorter. And as the days get shorter, we're using more electrical lights. Our air conditioner switches back over to heat. I happen to use gas heat. And then we're struggling to keep the heat in and the cold out instead of the heat out and the cold in. So I want to give a shout out to my girl, my favorite YouTuber, Homestead Tessie. If you have never looked at her channel, she is so amazing. She is probably the hardest working lady that I know, and does all kinds of really neat canning, preserving, money saving, thrift store shopping. But one of the things that she does, and I think both from a cost saving standpoint as well as a peaceful environment standpoint, is she uses kerosene lamps. I was blessed to inherit my grandmother's, I'm always afraid I'll break this, oil lamp. And my grandma was born in 1898 and moved many times during her lifetime. And I don't know if this is original to her or if maybe it was from her mother. I'm not really sure which. But at any rate, it's quite old. I would use this when I had a power outage, and that was really about it. And as Tessie explained, in this hustle and bustle world, sometimes you need your safe space in your home to be peaceful and calm. And I find that in the winter, with the days being shorter, I can light a lot of my oil lamps. Saves me money on electric, and they are also heat producing. So I only use them in the summer if we don't have power. And here I lose power a lot, and sometimes for days on end. So I have to have plan A, plan B, and plan C. I do have some solar lighting that's very helpful, but I certainly prefer the ambiance, if you will, of the oil lamp. So hang on a minute and I'll be right back, and I'm going to show you, if you would choose to get oil lamps, some of the options. I have them all out here because today, noticing the days are getting shorter and knowing that winter is coming probably sooner than we wish, I need to top off all of my lamps, trim the wicks, and clean them. So stay tuned. Well, let's talk a little bit about the different types of oil lamps that you might find as you shop, both in retail, and a great place to find them are used goods stores like Goodwill or thrift stores. So I've already shown you my grandma's tall lamp. So any of the lamps that are on the pedestal are actually most generally older, and they also, for me, shed more light for reading. So my preference for areas where I'm going to be reading or looking at something close up is to definitely have the ones on a pedestal. Walmart sells this model, and I think it's around $10. I can try to drop a link below to this lamp. This works fine. It just does not give as much light. This one was actually a gift to me back in 1981 as a wedding gift, and I still use it. And this actually gives a lot of light as well. The other type of lamps you will often find are really more decorative. So I really wanted this lamp because it was so cute and it had little deers and little trees, and I just thought it was adorable. Yeah, it's cute, but as far as lighting the area, doesn't do a whole lot. And then the final type of lamp, well, I have this one, which is also old, and this holds a lot of oil and does give fairly good light. The last type is one that has a metal base. This is very old. I did buy it used, and you'll see it's got a little bit of rust on it, so I'm keeping a very close eye on that because I worry about it rusting through and leaking. So this would be a last choice emergency use for me. So when you're purchasing a lamp, new or used, the first thing you're going to want to do is clean out the inside. If it had old oil in it, just scrub it out well. I don't know a good answer for what you do with the congealed fuel that's in there. If you flush it, wash it down the drain, or dump it, it's going to end up in our groundwater and ultimately in our water supply. So if you have a way you can dispose of it like you do car oil, that would be the best way to do it. So put it into a metal container like an old can and see if your recycling will accommodate you and take that away. Thankfully, mine get used so regularly, I don't have any old fluid. But what I like to do once a year, and I don't know how well you can see, the globes get really, really dirty. So I just take a generic Windex and clean those out good, paper towel. But I also like to trim the wicks. So in an oil lamp, there is a wheel that will turn your wick up or down. The higher you turn it, the brighter the light, but also the more smoke that you're going to get. Each year, when it's time to start using my oil lamps, I trim the wick. So you want to trim off, and these are new scissors, dadgum. Okay, you want to trim off any of the burnt part. So for example, this one gets a lot more use. Let me see if I can show you this. Yeah. See how this wick is black? I want to trim that piece off. And in this way, we will be ready when that cold morning comes. You don't want to turn on the heat, or you just lose power. So a lot less smoking, a lot more even flame. You do want to try to cut it evenly, unlike what I did. So what do you do when your wick is all used up? Well, here's an answer for that. You can buy wick in a roll and simply, instead of screwing it up to raise it, you screw it down to load it. There's little teeth that grab it and take it down into the fuel. So they come in different widths, I will tell you that. And I have a couple widths. I don't think I need to replace any wicks right now. I did some last winter, but you would just simply remove the old wick by screwing it up until it comes out, then reverse it to put the new wick in. And you want enough that it is down into the fluid. So that's one part of preparation, and I'm a little embarrassed how dusty things get in my house. I think I clean, but I do have a cat. And that brings me to another good point. Are these safe? Do you feel comfortable using them? So here's my theory on it. I feel they're safe if you maintain your wick, you use appropriate fuel, and we'll talk about that in a moment, and you don't have small children, you don't place them in precarious places, and you don't have animals that would knock them over. This being a very flammable liquid, if it got knocked over, it would most likely start quite a fire as this fuel ignited, because it's a type of similar to kerosene. Frankie, who you've all met, knows the meaning of the word hot. He has no interest in the lamps. He's never bothered them, so it's never been an issue for me. So you're gonna have to make that judgment call for yourself whether you believe it's safe. So the next thing we need to do once we have trimmed our wick is we are going to unscrew the collar, and that's what the wick sits in. So when I pull up, you see there's the base of the wick. And then you have some choices about fuel. My favorite fuel to use, and harder to find, is clean heat. It can be difficult to find. Lowe's carries it. I do not have the ability to get this from my local Walmart. I have not found it personally on walmart.com. Being a flammable liquid, it's hard to get it shipped, so you need to see if you can source this locally, perhaps at a home improvement store. The other option, and I certainly use this as well, is just to use lamp oil. You do not want to use gasoline, kerosene, anything but lamp approved oil, for fear of causing an explosion, danger, fumes, etc. This lamp oil comes from Walmart. I will tell you it's seasonal. If you see it, buy it now. And I've been stocking up, so I have plenty, probably at least for 2 winters, maybe not, I don't know. But with COVID, I was unsure if this would be something that I could find. You can also find it at farm stores. So we have a Rural King in the next town over. So I have seen a similar product at Rural King. It's their own house brand of lamp oil. I personally have not used it, but I know a lot of people do. So back to the lamp. So I'm going to use clean heat on the 2 lamps that I use the most. And I have a dedicated El Cheapo funnel, probably from the dollar store. And I'm going to just carefully fill up my lamp. Using the funnel, refeed in the wick. You want to make sure you get that collar screwed on level. That's important too. If your wick is crooked or your collar isn't level, your flame will be all wonky and you will battle with having a black smoke coming out. So that is snug. The final thing I'm going to do is clean these nasty dusty shades, and then we will replace them in the house, and I will be all ready for that first chilly morning where you're thinking, I can't turn on the furnace this early. You know, I'm always surprised at just how much heat, sorry, I dropped a towel, one of these will put out when it's really chilly in the house. So drop me a comment below. Are oil lamps something you would be willing to invest in, or have you tried them? And if so, what do you think? I love them not only for the electrical and heat efficiency they provide, I just find that they really are, you know, a blast from the past, something that is reminiscent of my grandparents. Very, very enjoyable and peaceful. And, you know, part of wellness is having an environment that brings you joy. So if you haven't already, don't forget, if you would please, like the video, drop me a comment. I read every one of your comments. I love getting comments, and I would just like to see what you think. And also, if you haven't already, down below the video, that button over to the right that says subscribe, go ahead and click on that, and then ring the bell to be notified of new videos. Stay healthy, stay well, and have a blessed day. Wait, don't go yet. I forgot to tell you one thing. All of the toweling that you've used to wipe up any spills, I always spill even with the funnel, of the fuel, as well as to wipe out the globe and then the little pieces of wick, can be extremely flammable. So you don't want to just pitch them in your regular trash can. I generally double bag them in just grocery sacks, and then I leave it outdoors until trash day. So please be safe with any of your toweling that you've used for filling and wiping up spills. Thanks.